Hello everyone, I've got about 8 pounds of treat to fit into a 5-pound SAC sack, and pun is intended there. What I'm going to do is wait for a couple of seconds here as people are logging in, and don't worry, this is being recorded, so if you missed the beginning you can always go back and watch the recording. Hold on please. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Jose Hernandez. I am the Director of Analytics at Dunn Solutions Group, and welcome to the presentation today focusing on SAP Analytics Cloud. We're going to look at how to gain insight with SAC. The agenda today is straightforward. I'll start with a Dunn Solutions Group commercial. I promise it will be short. And then we're going to do a quick introduction on SAC. I'm not going to dive into a lot of the intro part of SAC because I do want to focus our attention on the smart capabilities of SAC. That said, if you do want to watch videos on an intro to SAC, go to www.dunnsolutions.com and click on the Insights menu and search for Analytics Cloud. All right, let's get started with the commercial. Dunn Solutions is a digital transformation consultancy. We bring velocity to our clients. Velocity is made up of two components, speed and direction. We bring speed through the process automation and direction through analytics. After all, if you're going to go fast, you may as well go fast in the right direction. We've been around since 1988 with offices in the US and in Bangalore, India. Dunn Solutions is an SAP Platinum partner and have been a top-level partner for nearly 20 years. As an SAP authorized training partner, we help companies nationwide maximize their technology investments by offering public, private, and virtual courses. We also do custom courses. Dunn Solutions is part of United VARs, allowing us to service clients in over 100 countries. Velocity leads to the Velocity Virtuous cycle. Dunn Solutions' Velocity Virtuous cycle supports an organization's digital transformation journey. The basic premise is that automation feeds data to analytics, which then feeds insight or prescribes actions to be taken back to an autonomous process. Bottom line, it's a feedback loop that keeps the whole process running efficiently. I head the analytics practice which delivers insight to your organization, or better said, my team is the analytics component of the Velocity Virtuous cycle and a co-contributor to the prescriptive component of the cycle. Our analytics services include advanced analytics, automated analytics, data lakes, and data warehouses. We deliver these services on a variety of platforms, including SAP. With the commercial complete, let's get to it. We're shifting from the era of digital transformation, where we began digitizing manual tasks to drive better data collection and automate repetitive tasks, into the era of intelligence, where we accelerate growth and revenue generation by making organizations more intelligent. Our goal at Dunn Solutions is to help our customers make the intelligent enterprise a reality in their organization. This is done through analytics. Today I'm going to show you how SAP Analytics Cloud offers a unique approach to doing so. I'm sure you're already doing data discovery as a means to gain insight within your organization. And when I say data discovery, what I mean is bringing data into a BI tool, slicing, dicing, and drilling through it in order to find answers to questions that you might have. That approach may or may not provide actionable insight, and it's time-consuming and often frustrating. And there are other issues that are less obvious that I'm going to cover as well in a minute. In any case, I want to automate and accelerate the data discovery activities as much as possible to make that pain go away. So let's talk a bit about the shift from data to insight to value. Data is valuable, but only if it's used for something. When you start to use that data to get information and to glean some insight, you start to get more value out of that data. The way that most people and BI tools work is to wrangle the data, then slice, dice, and drill your way to some level of insight. You're probably doing this today. We call that data discovery. Data discovery alone can't meet your insight expectations. The promise of analytics has always been to get the right information in the hands of the right people at the right time to enable better decision making. So why is data discovery not able to do this? And the answer is threefold: human bias, delayed insight, and unclear next steps. Let's start with human bias. Regardless of what data discovery tool you use, whether it's Excel, SAP BI, Microsoft BI, even Tableau, it's all subject to human bias. Humans are particularly bad at processing raw data, and that becomes even more of an issue when the data is complex and large. And on top of that, we're really bad at overcoming our own beliefs, and when faced with an ambiguous situation, humans will typically select and highlight data that supports your own belief. So how can we trust that the insights we've gleaned aren't being driven by our own agenda? To be truly data-driven, we need to remove and reduce human bias from insight discovery. We need to let the data speak for itself. Delayed insight is another issue. Another weakness to humans interacting with data is that humans do not possess the capacity to uncover key trends and patterns quickly with large and complex data sets. We use a visualization tool that makes it easier for us as humans to understand what's happening with our data. But if we were to remove the high reliance on human intervention, we could execute and deliver insight much faster. You see, machines don't require visualizations to understand the fundamental patterns in the data. They can execute on raw data alone. And finally, unclear next steps. Even if we're able to discover insight, we're not able to draw information from it that allows us to act confidently. The next best steps to take action are often still determined by human intuition or gut feel. So, machines do it better. While there is clear benefit to embracing machine computation and machine learning, it's important to note, according to Gartner, that less than 20% of business analysts use advanced analytic tools. And that's because the tools until now have been very niche and difficult to use. They're designed for data scientists. Bottom line, we need to automate as much of the data discovery process as possible and let the hardware, software, and machine learning do the stuff that they do best. Get insight from data quickly and without bias. And then we have to get these tools in the hands of our analysts and citizen data scientists. We need to bring this value to the users. So what is SAP Analytics Cloud? Let me do a quick primer just to level set. SAP Analytics Cloud is a cloud-based subscription service that puts analytics in the hands of all different types of users, from analysts to executives. Basically, it puts powerful analysis and visualization tools in one platform that allow you to discover, analyze, plan, predict, and collaborate. It offers connectivity to many data sources, and the list is constantly growing. Live connections are possible primarily to other SAP products and data acquisition to almost anything. Where SAP Analytics Cloud starts to pull itself away from the herd is its ability to convey a story, to tell a story to make a point, and motivate action based on facts. But everything I've described so far is part of traditional data discovery. So why is Analytics Cloud so special? Let me move into the world of augmented analytics. SAP Analytics Cloud is a completely different way of working. It brings the power of machine learning to the analyst and the citizen data scientists. Intuitive smart features use advanced machine learning techniques to quickly move from business question to insight to action, the analytics lifecycle. And regardless of their statistical knowledge, analysts of all skill levels can interact with machine learning insight and upskill to create their own predictive insights. So let's get into the smarts built into SAC, and we're going to start with Smart Discovery. Smart Discovery identifies the key influencers to a selected measure or dimension. To run a Smart Discovery, select the data model, which contains your data, and choose the dimension or measure that you're interested in exploring. Key influencers are measures and dimensions that influence results. They are identified from the information in your data using classification and regression techniques. Classification techniques are used to identify dimensions that segregate results into different groups of outcomes. Regression techniques identify relationships between data points in order to predict future outcomes. So let's switch over to a demonstration. Here I am logged into SAP Analytics Cloud. I'm going to start by creating a new story. Now notice when I create a story, I get to select one of these templates that are available. I'm just going to leave the default selection, and I'm going to run a Smart Discovery. So the first thing I need to do when I'm running a Smart Discovery is to choose a data set, and I'm going over here to Samples and choosing Best Run Juice Sample Model. All right, as the page loads, a little trick that I like to do here when I'm not sure of the elements that are available in my model, I'll go to Advanced Options and choose Included Columns, and this will give me a list of all the columns that are there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to work with gross margin. So let me cancel this. So let me select gross margin from the list here, and let's go ahead and run our Smart Discovery. This will take a few seconds here, but I want to show you in real time how long this takes. If you were to do this manually and go investigate the data and build your own story from scratch, it would certainly take you more than the minute or so that it's going to take here. So what's going on behind the scenes? The data that you've provided is being used, and classification and regression techniques are being applied towards it. Classification techniques are used to identify the dimensions that segregate the results into different groups of outcomes, and regression techniques identify the relationship between all those data points in the data in order to predict future outcomes. So by my guesstimate, we've been at this now for just over half a minute or so, and hopefully, and there we are, it's complete. So not only has data discovery been done for us in under a minute, but a story has been developed with an overview page, key influencer page, unexpected values, and simulation pages. So let's take a look at the summary page. I have my summary of gross margin, my distribution of gross margin, and you can see the columns here. I can hover over those. And I also have an analysis here of gross margin trending over time. The neat thing is, not only do I have my current values, but I have predictions into future periods. And I can see those values that have been predicted, as well as a range of values with a certain confidence. Okay, let me get rid of this little box here and do a little maneuvering. Over in this tile, I'm seeing an analysis of gross manager by sales manager, and I can hover over the various sales managers. But what's really neat here is down at the bottom, it's giving me some English verbiage that Kieran is the top contributor and is 122% above the average. So it provides this kind of insight. And over on this tile, I've got a comparison of gross margin by sales manager and location. It's a heat map, and I can hover over the various components. Now, how did it know to identify these things, the sales manager and the location and so on? That analysis that it did using machine learning identified the key contributors to these outcomes. All right, so let's scroll back up and take a look at our second page here. So scrolling up, and we'll switch over to key influencers. So let's click on key influencers and take a look at this page. Now the key influencer page highlights the predictors to our selected measure, in this case gross margin. It also tells us a bit about the insight quality. In other words, how good was our data in order to build these underlying models. So let's check out our top influencer, discount, and we can see that discount obviously influenced gross margin. And here's some insight. We'll talk about this later. And it also shows us that there was correlation with these other influencers, which we can hover over as well and see what it says about those. So let me quickly just show you some of the other things I have here. We're looking at record counts between gross margin and discount. We're looking at discount, how it compares to gross margin. Let me get rid of this box here, hold on. And so here we're looking at the average gross margin across the various product groups. And over here, let me get rid of this. I have the record frequency by gross margin to see distribution across the various product groups. And I can also see the comparison of records for gross margin and fixed price, as well as a comparison of fixed price and how it impacts gross margin. So let's take a look at the next page here, unexpected values. And this is an interesting page. What's happening here is data points or rows in the data are being identified that fell out of the expected values. Those expected values were based on the machine learning formulas that were created during the analysis. And I can go ahead and investigate those, and I can see the association between the actuals and the expected gross margin throughout my data set. And down here in this bar chart, I can hover over these bars and see the variance between the expected value and the actual value. And let's switch over to the last page, the simulation page over here. And the simulation page is pretty neat. It's showing me the various influencers, those variables that influence gross margin the most, and giving me the opportunity to change any one of those influencers and see how it would impact gross margin. Notice a few things here. It tells me what the impact were. So things that have a strong impact would affect the number considerably, and things with a lower impact affect the number, well, a little bit less. And you can see as I change some of these, for example, as I'm changing the price fixed influencer, it has very little impact. Now, if I change discount, you'll notice that it has a significant impact on gross margin because it is a strong or positive influencer. I'm going to go ahead and change the product here and do my simulation. So this lets you play a what-if scenario by changing the numbers of the variables that actually influence gross margin. Okay, so that was smart discovery, and the key takeaway is to consider how much work was done in a matter of minutes that would have taken days or weeks for you to do manually in order to gain some insight on your data set. Okay, let's switch gears here and let's talk about Smart Insights. Smart Insights uncovers top contributors of a selected value. To run Smart Insights, you right-click on charts or data points and look for the light bulb symbol. Top contributors refer to the dimension members that provide the highest contribution to a data point being analyzed. The Smart Insights feature answers questions: what are the top contributors to a data point or variance selected in this chart? Without Smart Insights, a user would have to manually pivot the data to identify the members for each dimension that contribute most to the data point. This makes Smart Insights a major time saver for users looking for quick answers. All right, so let's switch back to our demo, and I'll go over to the overview page. And in the overview page, I'm going to come down here to the Analyze Gross Margin by Sales Manager and right-click on Kieran and click on Smart Insights. So Smart Insight does its thing and goes ahead and gives me some options here. How has this changed? And it gives me a verbose description here. And also, what are the top contributors based on geography, store, or even product? I can go to any one of these and expand and interact further. So here you can see that I'm looking at gross margin based on time period. And right now we're looking at month. I can switch over here to half year. And these are all interactive charts, and I can interact with these things. So let's scroll down and let's take a look at top contributors. I can go ahead and expand orange pulp here and take a look further at the various members of this of the product group and see how they contributed to gross margin. Further, clicking on Diet Coke, I can do Smart Insights within Diet Coke. And give it a second here and further see how Diet Coke has changed from the previous period, and drill even further to the contributors of Diet Coke, taking a look here at, for example, a geography. So let's take a look at Los Angeles. So now I'm looking at gross margin per location for Diet Coke, Los Angeles being the top contributor. So let's switch over to the key influencer page, and we were here before, but I wanted to show you that I can get additional insights in a variety of places. So here I can jump over to the how does discount influence gross margin, and you can see that I have the bulb here as well. I can drop that down and further gain insight, for example, at the product level. So here, how does the relationship of discount and product line influence gross margin? And so you can see that I can further do analysis, and what's happening here is that the tool is helping me focus my attention on important aspects based on what the data is telling me. All right, so let's switch gears and let's talk about Search to Insight. Search to Insight is basically like Googling your models of data. Search to Insight is available on the home screen or at the top right corner of the toolbar. Search to Insight brings conversational artificial intelligence to SAP Analytics Cloud. So getting answers from your data is as simple as asking a question in a natural language, sort of, you'll see. The feature works by processing your natural language queries and providing you with answers in numeric points and in chart form. So let's go look at a demonstration. I'll click on the Search to Insight icon, and it brings me to the Search to Insight page. The first thing to notice down here is that I can select the scope of my search. It could either be all of the models that I have or the specific model that I came from. So that's what I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose the stories and the specific models I came from. And I'll type out my first question. So I'll show gross margin, and you'll see as I type, it'll give me options to choose from, and I'll choose gross margin down here so I don't have to finish typing. And as soon as I do that, I'll click my search button, and here's my first result. And it's showing me gross margin. Well, that's very cool. I've got a KPI showing me the total gross margin. Let's further that along. Let's take a look at gross margin by month. And I'll click the search icon. And here's a graphic showing me gross margin by month. So let me ask a completely different question. How about gross margin by one of the products? How about lemonade? So gross margin for lemonade. Notice I'm focusing on a specific product. So here it pops up. I can go ahead and click on that. And let's go ahead and search for that. And here is my gross margin for lemonade. Let's do one more. I want to see the gross margin for lemonade for one of the sales managers, James Frank, I think is his last name. So let's see. It'll help me out here, Frank. Oh, there he is. So I'll select James Frank and click on the search icon. And here's my gross margin for lemonade for that specific sales manager. And one more, let's go ahead and look at James Frank's by month for lemonade. All right, very cool. And you can see that as I'm asking these questions, my results are being saved on this page. And so I can go back and refer to any one of these. I want to do one more thing to show you here. I'm going to look for gross margin over, let's say, $5 million. And we'll make sure I got the right zeros here. And let's also show that by product. So I'll click on the search icon and wait for the results to show up. And there it is. Oh, and by the way, notice over here, I also have one other result that I can look at. I can click on that and see that I have show gross margin without the product. So it's giving me a variety of options to choose from in my result set. Okay, so now let's make these results part of a page in our story. So I'll click here and I'll copy to, and I'll have options here for pages. I'm going to copy to a new Canvas page. And so then let me expand a few more of these to see if I want to make any one of these part of our page as well. So I'll expand these out a bit. And let's go ahead, let's take this time series here. Let's take that and add it to that page. You'll see that the page is now available as page 1. So I'll click on that. And let's grab one more here. Let me scroll down and let's grab this KPI as well. So let's copy that one. And let's do one more search here. Let's do by month. I like those time series. And I'll go ahead and copy this to our new page as well. So on page 1. So now I'll exit out of our Search to Insight page, and I'll navigate over here to our page 1. And here are those objects that I dragged from my Search to Insight and dropped them into my new page. And I can go ahead and maneuver these like I can any other story page. I'll drag these around a bit and do a little resizing just to show you that I can do that. All right, and that's how Search to Insight can help you out. All right, so let's focus our attention now on the last demo, Smart Predict. Smart Predict helps business analysts answer business questions about the future. Smart Predict augments your existing business intelligence capabilities by learning from your historical data to create recommendations on the best action to take for your business. This is really a game changer, and it allows us to create 3 different types of predictions: classifications, time series, and regressions. Now this topic can be and will be a webinar unto itself, but I at least want to expose you to it during this presentation. What I'm going to do here is create a predictive scenario, but before I jump into that, I want to show you some data. So I'm going to browse over here to files that I have and show you the training file that I'm going to use to create my predictive model. So I've saved it in this folder here. Let's go take a look at this training data. It's basically HR data that tells me whether somebody has left the organization. So here's the employee ID, and here's some scores about satisfaction, the last time an evaluation was performed, the number of assignments given to this employee, the average number of working hours they've had, how many anniversary years they've had, and whether they have a newborn child. The final column shows me whether they are still with the organization or whether they left the organization. So now what I'd like to do is build a predictive model that's going to predict whether an employee is going to leave the organization. So I'll create a new predictive scenario, and this is a type classification. So I'll click on classification and give it a name here. I'll call it employee churn, and I'll go ahead and select that from my list since I've already done this once before, and let's go ahead and save that. All right, so step 1, in my settings here, I have to pick an input data set, and that's that training file that I just showed you. So I'll navigate to that folder and select that file. All right, and now let me get rid of this little pane down here. So now I have to define the roles of the variables, and here I'm going to identify the target variable. And notice there's nothing in the list. There's actually something wrong with my data set. So I'm going to go ahead and edit my data set right from here. And what's going on here is that target that left the company is set as continuous. That can't be the case for classification. It has to be nominal. So I've made that quick little change in the model and saved that. And so now I'll be able to select that column as my target variable. So there we go. Now the next step is to exclude certain variables. Now employee ID isn't a good predictor of anything, it's just a unique identifier, so I'll exclude employee ID and click OK. So now I'm ready to train my model, and I'll click on Train here. And so using that training data set, a predictive model for classification is being created for me. And once it's done, I'm going to get some statistics about my model that I just created. So give it a couple of seconds here, and here we go. So the thing I want to highlight here is global performance indicators. Its predictive power is pretty good. It's above 80%. And my prediction confidence is really high at over 95%, which is considered very good. And one more thing here, this lift curve shows that my model performs well above random. In fact, there's a perfect model, and here's my model, the blue line. So that's pretty darn good. So I'm kind of liking my model so far. So with my model created, it's time to score the data set that I really want to predict on. And what I'll do here is I will scroll up here and choose Browse Files. And under here, inside of my folder where my demo files are, you'll see that I have a file that I want to score. This is a list of employees who are currently with me, and I want to see, based on their activities, whether they're going to be leaving or not. So let's go ahead and go back to our predictive scenario that we previously created. I'll select the employee churn predictive model that I created. And what I'm going to do is apply this model to that data set. So I'll select Apply Predictive Model. I'll choose my data set here. Going back to my folder that I just showed you, and I'll pick that. And then I have to provide an output data set. This is where my predicted values are going to go into. So I'll go ahead and give that a name. I'll call it HR scored data. And click OK. That's where the results are going to end up. And so now I'm going to set up some more output columns here. So these are all the columns that I want outputted into my output model. And I will select everything in this list. I'm not going to select left because that's not necessary. And then for contextual information, I'm going to go ahead and select everything here so that you can see the applied date, the training date for the model, and here's some statistics that I could look at later, so I'll select those as well. And one more of these predictions, predictive category and predictive probability. So let's go ahead and click OK, and I've just scored my model. You can take a look at the process. It's applying, and give it a couple of seconds here. And it's applied. So my model has run on that data set. My data set is scored. Let's go take a look at that output. So I'll go browse for my output file, back to the folder. There it is. And let's go take a look at that scored data that I just ran. And I have here for those employee, that predictive column to the right of left is showing that the model indicates that 3 of my employees are potentially going to be leaving me. So obviously I want to target some activities to make sure that these employees don't leave, assuming I want them to stick around. Now this was really a flyby, and this topic does deserve a lot more attention than this, and I promise I will be doing a webinar in the future on SAP Analytics Cloud predictive scenarios. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Let's take a look at the benefits of using SAP Analytics Cloud. The one thing we want to keep in mind is we want to move from that digital transformation era into the intelligent enterprise, where we let the data help us with decisions that we make. We want to go from data to insight to action much faster with less delays. We want to make sure that we let the data speak for itself and remove that human bias, and be confident about the influencers and contributors that we are considering. And we want to learn from our historical data so that we can predict the future outcomes and use that in our business decisions. All right, and to help you do that, Dunn Solutions Group is offering a 1-week duration jumpstart or pilot project with SAP Analytics Cloud, where we'll come in and help you set up your SAP Analytics Cloud and show you how you can use augmented analytics through a workshop so you can make the most of your data and SAP Analytics Cloud. So thank you all for attending this presentation. My name is Jose Hernandez. I am the Director of Analytics at Dunn Solutions Group. And you can contact me if you have any questions regarding the presentation or our one-week workshop offer. You can also email info@dunnsolutions.com. Again, thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your attention. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. Goodbye.